In the next segment tonight, we asked Bernie Goldberg to watch how the Benghazi hearings were covered by the network news. On cable, we can tell you that the live hearings were carried for 1 hour, 48 minutes on Fox News, 17 minutes on CNN, and 0 minutes, nothing, on MSNBC. One footnote, I'm not surprised by MSNBC. What does surprise me is that NBC doesn't just spin off that channel, make it a liberal concern, take it out of the news division, because it obviously doesn't cover the news. On the network news front, NBC, ABC, and CBS did not lead with Benghazi last night, as The Factor did. They led with the Cleveland abductions. As for time, Brian Williams gave Benghazi 3 minutes, Diane Sawyer 2 minutes 24 seconds, Scott Pelley 4 minutes 41 seconds. In the morning, the Today Show gave Benghazi 3 minutes 17 seconds, and remember the Today Show is on for 4 hours. Good Morning America spent less than a minute on Benghazi. That's a 2-hour program. And the CBS Morning News spent 3 minutes 15 seconds on the story. Joining us now from Miami, the purveyor of BernardGoldberg.com, Mr. Goldberg. And you say?
Before I comment on the media, that interview was disturbing with Mrs. Smith. If President Obama, Hillary Clinton, and Susan Rice didn't indeed tell her face-to-face that it was all about the video, that is beyond outrageous. It's one thing to lie to the press and the American people in general, but to tell a story like that was obviously not true, and by that point they had to know it wasn't true, that is deeply troubling. Okay, I just needed to get that out, Bill. On the media, I'd like to make 3 points. First, MSNBC, which ran 0 seconds or minutes or anything of live coverage of the hearings. MSNBC is not a liberal news organization or a left-wing news organization. It is not a news organization of any kind. It's a public relations firm. And some of its clients don't want this story to go anywhere. Barack Obama doesn't, Hillary Clinton doesn't, and congressional Democrats don't want it to go anywhere. And MSNBC, along with other news organizations, they oblige. And that's shameful. The second point I want to make is that there were 3 stories yesterday vying for media attention. Benghazi, the Cleveland kidnappings, and Jodi Arias. Now, I understand the people on this network care about Benghazi, but by and large, Benghazi comes in third, because there are millions and millions and millions of Americans who are like babies who like to follow shiny objects. These people don't care about Benghazi. They know more about Jodi Arias than they do about Benghazi, and that's how they like it. And that's also troubling. By the way, I wrote what I think is an important piece on this subject on my website, BernardGoldberg.com. I hope people will go to read it. The third and final point that I'd like to make is about Mike Huckabee. On his radio show recently, he said that Barack Obama would not survive Benghazi, that he wouldn't be able to serve out his second term because of Benghazi. This is wishful thinking masquerading as political analysis. Barack Obama is going nowhere because, by and large, the American people don't care about Benghazi. It's not interesting. It's not sexy. It doesn't involve a woman who committed murder. It doesn't involve any of the things that millions of Americans care about. I'm totally depressed over this whole thing.
We're going to have Governor Huckabee, I believe, tomorrow on The Factor, so we'll play him your clip and then he'll react to that. As far as the network news is concerned, it looks like CBS did its job. I mean, almost 5 minutes on the Pelley broadcast. That's a big chunk of time. They got about a 22-minute hole, so he did his job.
Right.
The morning shows absolutely could have done more, all of them. But I think you're right. I think there's no drive by the folks, although 5 million people watched The Factor last night. And we managed to cover it all, Bernie. We managed to get all of it in, you know. It wasn't that hard to do. We got it all in.
Right. Let me say 2 things, unrelated, sort of. The first thing is that, you know, I don't think you and I, Bill, are web guys, you know. I mean, I get my news from television and newspapers.
Absolutely.
But a lot of Americans, especially younger Americans, they only know what's going on in the world to the extent that they know it all by going on the web. So at 10:30 this morning, I went to Google News. There were 31 stories on the homepage. 31. 0 on Benghazi.
Yeah.
Yahoo News, which is another major website, had a story from the AP. They linked to a story at the AP. And the Associated Press, where I had my first job. This is the gold standard of American journalism, or used to be.
Yeah, it isn't anymore.
The stories, not anymore. The stories they ran were about how the Republicans were out to get Hillary Clinton. If I ever wrote a story like that, they wouldn't have fired me. They would have killed me.
Yeah, it's an analysis piece, not a hard news piece.
Right. And the final point I want to make is that if the viewers out there understand just one thing, they'll understand everything they need to know. 8+ years ago, the so-called mainstream media decided that it was going to try to help Barack Obama win election. Just substitute Barack Obama's name for Hillary Clinton's name. If you understand that, you understand everything you need to know.